Okay, so we are live with Juliette from the Fen and with three amazing artists, all women. So super happy to have you all here. How are you doing?
Good. Great.
Amazing. So I think let's start with a bit of an intro on the Fen. So I'll pass it on to Juliette to just talk about the project and then let her introduce Kelly, Zay, and Katie.
Thank you, Nicole. It's so nice to have you organizing so many discussions. So anytime we want to, I don't know, like exchange and talk about something, we just all think about you and be like, oh, let's have a chat with Nicole. So for those of you who follow Vertical Crypto, we presented the Fen with Joanie Lemercier, my partner in this initiative, at the very beginning, just before the first drop. So we don't like to say that the Fen is an exhibition or a curated event. It's really all about a coordinated series of drops. So of course, Joanie and myself, we made the first selection of mostly friends or artists we admired, but also of artists we thought had a place in there. And it's been so we are launching our 5th drop this Friday. It feels like it's been 25 already because each drop was almost always 5 artists. And it was only Joanie and myself coordinating all of this. So it's been a bit intense, but we have learned so much, and we have had the best discussions and yeah, like we've been missing, all of us have been missing meeting new artists and seeing friends in festivals and chatting over a drink. And so this project for Joanie and myself was also a place to gather and meet. So I would say that the Fen has become what you can see on this gallery page on nunc, but also the backside and many discussions in between artists also, not only like us and the artists, but we really made this little community around this project. So I'm really glad tonight to have invited Zai, Kadi, and Kelly, who all participated previous drops. And I think it's nice because none of you was on the same drop. And I'm really curious to find out about how you enjoyed or not doing NFT. And for almost all of you, Kelly, did you do any crypto art before taking part into the Fen?
No, I was just saying that I actually minted my first work before the Object for Object, the first one, swap. And it was just, I was just observing, I was watching for a while, and I just wanted to test it out. But no, before that, absolutely not.
So I guess I can say that all of you came to NFT because of the Fen, was the little push that, because I know all of you were observing. I know like Kadi, we had a lot of side discussions before we did the Fen, and it's not like you discovered NFTs, but you were waiting for this occasion to actually get started. And I think that amongst the 3 artists tonight, Zai, you are a little bit different because you are not at all coming from the digital art scene. So maybe the little step, the extra final step was maybe a bit bigger for you, because, and that's really something we wanted from the beginning with Joanie, using the Fen as an excuse to also explore more possibilities with NFTs. Joanie has been super successful selling plotter drawings that have been waiting for months to find collectors. And we have been big fans of Zai paper sculpture for a long time. And we thought, yeah, this also should have a place in this crypto digital world. So I don't know who wants to start first. Zai, maybe because I just talked about you. Do you wanna share your experience as a non-digital artist discovering all of this?
Yeah, thanks so much for the intro. So I'm a paper sculpture artist in San Francisco. I had previously only ever sold physical artworks. This is my first time creating digital products as my like final product. I don't know why my 3 videos aren't loading here. Thanks, nunc. But yeah, I'm starting to get into video and stop motion a little bit more, and I was excited about the NFT space, but really cautious, and I didn't really know exactly like what the best in was, and I knew that I wanted to do it on a lower energy blockchain. The climate impact felt important to me, and having Juliette and Joanie create a model for us to get involved and really hold our hand along the way. Juliette gave me so much advice on how to structure it and how many editions to do, and help on pricing and advice on what kind of works to sell. It was so much fun, and it was a great introduction to the world of crypto art, and having a community of folks who are experts in the field and are willing to lend a hand really helped me get set up. And I feel like I'm already paying it forward, like helping other artists get involved, because I feel like I was helped so much in this process. But yeah, it's been super fun.
And I think we can say that people were not afraid to buy physical artworks. It was more like and some other unusual formats that have been part of the fan have been pretty successful. I think people are excited to actually get something physical. I don't know if you had the same struggle as Joanie has with his plotter drawings, that sometimes people buy your piece and they don't understand that they need to send you their physical address if they want you to send it over.
Yeah, so 2 of my NFTs, the 2 that are pictured on the left here, come with the physical paper sculptures that are featured. And someone scooped up both of them, the same buyer, and the instructions are very clear to DM me their shipping address, but I haven't heard from them. So no. I don't know, it might be a mystery. Maybe they'd never want it. Maybe they don't know the instructions. I'm not sure. Maybe they only want the token. I've heard that that's pretty common amongst crypto collectors. So it's definitely an experiment for me in understanding where, who's buying, what are they interested in? Is it the physical product? Is it the digital? Is this the right audience for physical at all? Yeah, I'm definitely still experimenting and learning.
That's really interesting, actually, on the physical side, because I do get a lot of conversations for artists that obviously have like a physical entity to their NFT, that also have, different experiences on whether like people want to share their shipping address or whether they're only interested in the token itself. So I think it's pretty common. I think also maybe a lot of the NFT audience is not used to the physical piece coming with it, so it's just a matter of also like being educated and learning that that's even possible.
Yeah, exactly. But we have to start the movement and to push for it. About the limitations, I'm really curious to hear what Kadi has to say. So Kadi, you made a series based on a body of work around Instagram selfies, and it's a really complex work, so I don't want to talk about it the wrong way, but very soon you came with this limitation that your piece is made of super highly detailed, high definition, and the whole point of the piece is to be able to zoom in. So at first you were like, what the fuck? Like the zoom option is not like a basic mode available, and it's really interesting to point out that one of the reasons we decided to do the fan on nunc, apart from all the amazing reasons all of you are aware of, is the fact that among the NFT platforms, it's one of the rare ones that is actually open to other formats. So imagine if you feel nunc is limited, imagine the big platforms where you couldn't do any SVG or any other way around programming to find solutions. So I think it's nice to say that, Kadi, you really had to make some kind of custom-made thing for people to enjoy your pieces.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and it was fun to actually have access to the developer in the background to be able to talk with them, because for sure, me as an artist, I'm thinking that a zoom option is like very simple UI, but actually no, something we had to create, which was fun actually, and really interesting, because as you said, my piece Alter Ego is actually collecting images that people are posting usually on Instagram in real time, which is quite cool, to be able to see what people are posting live and to have like hundreds of them at the same time, creating faces that are generated by artificial intelligence, kind of like, I would say, AI influencers. For me, when I heard about crypto art, I just thought it was really a great platform to actually release some prints of Alter Ego, because one of the things that has been quite like fascinating for me in the internet in general is the fact that we always gave our content for free on these platforms, on social media, for example. And I just feel that for the first time, it's reversed. Now the content that we put online can actually bring us some proceeds, which is really cool. And that's definitely the thing that interested me at the first place with crypto art. And when I found out that the climate footprint attached to it was so bad, as you know, Juliette, I was completely outraged, and I didn't want to get involved. And if it wasn't from you and Joanie that were like, no, let's stop. Let's see if there's another platform where we can do this. And, you know, I don't think I would have done it without you guys, for sure not, because I was just like, oh, no, this is too bad, you know. But I think it's really good. And my experience was great. Like, I always been very laid back, like with social media, because I always kind of like was not really okay with the terms and conditions behind, you know, the political aspect of it kind of always been a little disturbing for me. But for the first time, I really feel that this NFT world, the fact that we can tokenize everything is making things so interesting, because we can flip the technology and kind of start tokenizing things that don't even belong to us. Like you saw, my first NFT is the Google's partners, so people that actually own their data. And I just find it interesting that I don't own my own data, but no, now I can own your data. You know what I mean? That's really cool. As a conceptual standing point, I think that NFT is really promising.
So I think what's super interesting in what you just said is this idea that if someone out there has a great idea as a piece of art, and the tools do not exist, that's always the beauty of working with digital tools. You can make your own thing, and that's, I think everyone on the eKenunc is the community is always excited when someone finds a way around or add a piece to the puzzle. And at the very beginning, when there was no easy way to look at what was happening on eKenunc, all these crazy things that were made to make it happen. And we have André saying hello, and André is the amazing developer that that really helped Caddy to make it possible for her piece.
Thank you, André.
I think we all complain all the time about the downsides of eKenunc, but I think it's also nice to remember that it feels like we are the second beginning of internet and anything digital. And of course, it's really annoying when nothing works, but it's also for the same reason that you can kind of reinvent everything and make it your own tool. I wonder.
Actually, also, I wanted to add one thing, but like every single thing that another artist experiments and tries out on the platform gives possibility to the next one to, you know, do the same. And it's so interesting to see this happening constantly, every day, every single week. There's something new that somebody has created or done or thought about that then gets implemented in some way or form, and then gives space to so many others to actually, like, you know, work in that space. So it's, to me, that's like, you know, it's experimentation at the highest level, and it's just super cool.
Yeah.
And it's open, so that's great. And it's open like this.
I wonder, so Kelly, you come from a more traditional background of showing your work in galleries and institutional cultural spaces. So how was it for you to experiment on the eKenunc?
So I think it's been really liberating for me. Normally it takes me a year to make work for an exhibition. And that's primarily because of the research and development into works, but also how long it takes me to render work. So my works are generally 20 to 30 minutes long, and the limitation of an NFT has liberated, I think, my practice in a way, in a really exciting way. I have to say, like, I haven't actually been this excited about making work in a long time, because I can test more ground more quickly. So in effect, it's expanding my creative practice. And I think a lot needs to be said really about that. It's enabling creative practice in a different way for me. And that's really, yeah, it's fantastic.
I think, like, connected to what you just said, I think it's interesting to keep in mind these kind of two modes. I don't find the right word to qualify it right now, but I think it's great to use nunc as a never-ending playground and experiment, and don't take things too seriously, while at the same time also putting in there really strong works that required months or years of development and give like real high value to it. And I think several major artists have shown these two ways to use nunc in really great approaches. I think it's nice that people like Mario Klingemann, who kind of took the first half of us in there, showed that in a really great way. It's not because he sells for high price on other galleries and also high prices on nunc that he's not going to experiment with something maybe he finds silly or he doesn't know where it's going, and it can be available on a very cheap price. And I think the most interesting discussions we had supporting, in total, it's going to be around 35, 40 artists, was the discussion of the value you give to your artwork. I hope this is not secret, because I'm going to share something that Zach Lieberman shared with us on our Discord channel, was that, so Zach knew his pricing on other platforms, but he was new to nunc. So he kind of used the second object for object also to give his work and see how other people would value his work and how the second sale market would work. And I thought, oh, that's super clever, because then it's not you saying, okay, this is 10 pesos, or it's other people who kind of tests for you the value you may represent in this market. So I think that was like a fun way to play with object for object while learning from it. And I think it was also super interesting. Like Kadi, very early on, you said, okay, I'm new to Twitter. I don't have this big crowd of followers. I don't have these pre-existing collectors who for sure can buy my work for this price. But my pieces required like months of development, so I'm not gonna put them for cheap. And I think it's a great exercise, and it's super interesting to see like how some artists you would value super high, they undervalue themselves, or how some others who can do some like super fun exciting interactive thing in 5 minutes, they will like put it for crazy prices, because that it's not about the time it took to make the piece, it's about like the 25 years of coding that allowed you to make it in 5 minutes. So yeah, I've been working as an artist producer and a curator for many years, and like we like to think about the value or how much you would ask for a licensing fee, but in the end it's very often the other way around. Like the festival comes to you and say, okay, I have this amount of money, take it or leave it. And sometimes it's all about collaborating together to make it work. But I think it's such a new world to be free to put a price tag on what you do. I mean, what's your relationship to that? Is it scary? Is it weird? Is it like the revenge? What do you want to say about that? Okay, who's going first?
Well, I think there's something with nunc that we have to talk about, which is the cryptocurrency by itself, which is not a cryptocurrency that has the same value as Ethereum or Bitcoin. And so I think it's even more complex to put a price on it, because for you, it represents, like you said, like for me, Alter Ego, it was 1.5 years of development, because it's an installation that is like, hacking Instagram, scraping stuff. It's artificial intelligence. There's a lot of work behind, but I know that the value of the Tezos is not that high, so I cannot put the price that I would like to get for it, that I ask, like you said, festivals or galleries or museums to put my work up, So it was really kind of a challenge for me. So personally, I decided to do the incremental pricing, to give a chance to people to get the work, you know, in a lower price. But who knows what's going to happen? This is what's so exciting about it. You know, Tezos can go really up, and then suddenly what we think is a low price will be a really big price in a year. Who knows? I mean,
yeah, I think it's a good question, Juliette, about pricing, and I'm really interested to hear everyone's thought because a lot of artists ask this a lot. How should I price my work? What basis should I base myself on? Especially coming from like outside the NFT space, like what do you can't base you well potentially you could base them as the same price that you would place it in a gallery, but essentially that kind of like defeats the purpose in a way. So really, I'm very interested in hearing all your thoughts on this.
Zai, did you use you've already sold your work to real people in the real world? Was that a reference or?
Yeah, I think that's part of what was really helpful for me in selling physical artwork with 2 of my NFTs, that at least I had some benchmark in my mind of, okay, if I sold this piece through a gallery or direct to a customer or to a collector, I kind of have a sense of how much it would cost. And that helped me because I think when I started, I felt a lot of imposter syndrome, like, oh, people are going to pay for a JPEG of my artwork, or like that seemed totally nuts when I first started this process. And so including physical works with 2 of my NFTs was very, very helpful for me to be like, okay, I know that my work is worth a certain amount. I know that I have a certain market price, even if it's not worth this in the market in the NFT marketplace. I know that it is in the physical collector art world. So that kind of helped me get over some of the imposter syndrome that I felt when I first was going through pricing. Obviously, Juliette provided a ton of feedback and structure around edition size and price and having a couple different options. I really liked that she suggested that I have like one edition that's larger edition at a lower price, and then like a one of one, and then a couple in between. It really helped me test out like how much are people willing to pay for my work. The lower end, which is just a still image of my work, that one sold out the fastest. That one's on the resale market, which is very cool to see how it's being priced now that it's no longer, like the price is no longer in my hands, it's in collectors' hands. It took a little bit longer for the one of one and the 3 of 3, which are the physical editions, to sell, but they did end up selling. And so it was great feedback for me that I kind of assumed going into this, like I don't have a history with digital art. I'm really new to video production. I'm new to the NFT space. Like nunc overall has kind of a lower price point than a lot of the other Ethereum-based platforms. So I kind of felt, I feel like I'm pricing this uncomfortably high, but then realizing that almost all of it sold out was like, oh, I actually I can compete at this level in this marketplace. And that was really very cool validation, and it's really exciting. So yeah, it's been really fascinating. And I feel like having a physical artwork helped me bridge that gap between the pricing in the world that I'm used to and pricing in this completely other marketplace.
And I think too, we have to acknowledge that the audience that we have in the collector base, which are largely other artists, which is amazing. Artists collecting digital art. When has that happened before?
Yeah.
That's completely new. And no one's really covering that in the press, which I find really interesting. And so it's not just maybe how we kind of translate our prices from the art world, in my case, to this, but we're talking about completely different audiences, or, there's maybe a bit of crossover now, but yeah, so it's, how those 2 things relate to one another, edition size, etc. It's hard. I don't know. I'm still feeling it out too.
To follow up on the topic of pricing and value, that was one of the many objectives of the fan. Was we strongly believe that nunc has a role to play and can compete with the big platforms, and we want this POS alternative to POW and this clean NFT, to put it shortly, to have to be upfront, and the only way we can get there is by raising the value of everyone and every good works on nunc. So it took us to discussions with artists who use nunc as their sandbox and will put only very affordable pieces there because they're aware that until 5-10 tests they will sold out, whereas they're going to sell some other works really expensive on Ethereum based platforms, and we're like, no, please put also higher prices on Ike to attract collectors. And also, if it's a base of artists collecting artists, if the artists earn more money, they will also, I mean, someone like Memo Acton spent all his money from his drop with the fan buying other artists' work from the fan. So I mean, that's not going to make us all rich, but I mean, it's a great way to keep the thing running and to really act as a community, supporting each other. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing. What you said, Kadi, about do Tezos represent anything? I mean, it's great that most of the people who started on Ink and Nunc didn't have to struggle with putting Tezos in their wallet, but other artists would give them 1, 2, 3 Tezos. In the end, it's still, I don't know if I would hand over $10 to someone like that. You know, for sure, I would buy you a drink of the same value, but give you cash. So it's really fun. I like to do this exercise to take things from the crypto world and from Ike Nunc and imagine them in the equivalent in the real world is really funny. One last thing I wanted to point out in terms of value and pricing, and that's something I pushed most artists to experiment once. I realized artists who had been on Ike Nunc for a while had never sent an object to someone else's wallet. And I think when you do so, that's when you realize, oh, fuck, my artwork that is an object is actually considered as a currency on its own. You know, so that brings the artwork on another level of value. And I think it's there's a lot of realization there in just doing this, sending from your wallet to another wallet, one of your artwork. You were going to say something, Mikael.
No, I just wanted to say that on the collector note, I actually in the last, and this is something that, you know, we've all been thinking about, like Hiket Nungo, there aren't whales, you know, collectors aren't on there. But actually over the last couple of weeks, there's been more and more collectors like looking into Hiket Nunc. And to be honest, I'm also seeing it as a reflection also of some of the prices on the platform, which is, by the way, completely normal and completely healthy that it happens, because it's the general kind of way that an ecosystem, you know, grows. So probably, you know, even like initiatives like the FEN, as you know, both Juliette, you and Joanny, like you're trying to bring in like bigger, let's say, whales or, you know, collectors, and it's working, because I'm seeing on Twitter a lot of, you know, your traditional kind of Ethereum collectors who are actively looking into and buying from Hiket Nunc.
Yeah, that's why for each drop, and that was one of the difficult things to orchestrate, we always try to have one artist that is already selling on other platforms, to use this artist as an ambassador, to say like, please come on this platform, please try investing in Tezos. And it on the next drop this Friday, we have this great artist, Elena Sarin. I don't know how to pronounce her name, by the way. I never heard herself say her name, so sorry if I did it wrong. And she already has a strong base of collectors, but she loves Ike Nunc. And it was interesting to talk about pricing and edition with her, because she knows for sure that she's been putting single edition on Ike Nunc for a couple of weeks at higher prices, and she has collectors buying them. So it's good to have someone who's really confident in that, and we know it's gonna work. That also because Tezos is nothing compared to Ethereum. If you have an Ethereum-based whale who comes and see the expensive pieces of the fan, it's very likely that someone like that could buy all of it in one time. So we always say it's okay if you don't sell out right away. We are not at all in this race of sold out, shiny tags everywhere. And it's important to value your work at a proper level. But it was also always very important for us to play the community aspect of Ike Nunc, and we never wanted the fan to be the shiny VIP area. Like I've always hated the VIP ranks in festivals and in art fairs, so we didn't want to reproduce something like that. And something super important to say about the fan, and you mentioned it earlier, Micol, how every initiative is there to benefit everyone. We've been getting so many emails with Joanie of people who are like, oh, how can I be in the fan? And what we keep answering them is that for us it was a way to push a little bit for this gallery system to be implemented, but we know now that the core team of nunc really wants to make it work within the blockchain, so it's going to be much more complex to make it run as a proper gallery system, but it's going to come, and our idea is not to have everyone in the fan, but to have many other initiatives and maybe with totally different approaches. I mean, I love the idea of having an event around Brazilian artists and finally get this window onto the Brazilian art world, you know. So if it was just us doing the fan, it would be this place with our friends and the people we already know, which would end up being a bit boring for everyone in the end. So stick around and keep asking for more galleries, and it will come.
Yeah, and also the fact that, you know, one of the beauties with Heket Nunc is that essentially their idea is to make it as easy as possible for everybody to create their own little gallery. So it can even be, you know, like an initiative of your own that you can set up, which is really, you know, new and kind of takes out that, I guess, elitist a bit approach to like a gallery. Like it doesn't have to be, you know, exclusive. Like it can actually be as inclusive as possible, which is really the whole concept of Heket Nunc. I'm interested and curious, like maybe one last question if you all have time, but like, what are your, so Kelly, Zay, and Katie's like thoughts on, you know, the future? Like, what are you, especially for some, well, all of you was the first kind of like step into the NFT world. So what are your thoughts and what are you planning?
Like not me, yeah?
Anyone can-
All of you guys.
Jump in. I'm actually making a new series that has been largely inspired by this scene. So, and it relates to the work that I dropped with the Fen, but I'm rolling back the clock. It's a kind of pre-dawn situation. But that's what I mean by this whole landscape feeling quite liberating for my practice. So yeah, I'm working on a new series.
Nice.
Do you want to go ahead, Katie?
Go ahead, Zai.
Okay. Similar to what Kelly said, I've also felt like this whole format has really helped fuel a lot of creative exploration for me. I've always been into taking photos. I've always loved photographing my work, but it's always like, I just need to photograph it for my portfolio. It's for my Instagram. It's not really like an art form in and of itself. And so I've had so much fun learning video production. I'm starting to work on basic sound design, like Foley design. I'm getting really into stop motion, using my paper sculptures to create stop motion videos. And I feel like if it weren't for the whole format of being able to sell NFTs, it would be really hard for me to prioritize that kind of skill development. It's very, very hard for me to say like, oh, I'm going to completely learn a new skill set, new technology, new everything, just as a side project on top of my regular job, which is selling physical art. So now I feel like I have not only the excitement to do this, but also like something to do with it. Like I have a sales channel for it. I have a market for it. It's extra exciting to feel like these are not things that I'm just going to learn just for my own personal entertainment or to put on Instagram for free as like marketing. It's actually opening up new sales channels. And so it's so creatively exciting to dive into these new fields. So you can expect more stop motion videos from me featuring my paper sculptures.
I love hearing this. Like it's so good to hear that like it's fueling so much creativity and so much experimentation. I think like that's probably the best thing. I looked at a tweet and I was like, I don't remember the internet ever being this fun, and it's kind of true. It's like it's super fun. Katie, sorry.
Oh, I mean, I totally agree with you, Micol. Like when I heard of NFT, I thought it was so exciting. Like my mind was actually exploding. I was like, oh my God, but we can tokenize everything. We can tokenize cities. We can tokenize death. We can tokenize birth. Like I was just like, wow, you know, this is so amazing. And like I am very interested in digital rights, like I said. And for me, it's just such a beautiful platform to actually reverse things. And definitely my next artworks will be in this field. And I would really like, if possible, to maybe raise money. I really admire people that are actually raising money with NFT. I think it's quite amazing, and if I can, I think it would be really a great experimentation to do, because there's a lot of potential. It's crazy how much money people are raising with crypto art. Like, I never seen such things, and more people are accepting cryptocurrencies donation now, and this is also why I was so much into the fan, because it was also one of their goals of trying to raise money for causes, for activism, for so many things. So yeah, go ahead, Julia.
Yeah, since the beginning, we suggested, like, we are not forcing anyone, but we suggested every artist would donate 10% of their final income to something that would matter to them. And then on our Discord channel, we have this place where people started talking taxes and how do I actually donate to this local foster place. And then some of us found NGOs that started accepting Tezos, and we're like, oh, thank you. and yeah, so I think this part is going to take time, because the entire system is so new, and I mean, any cryptocurrency would be complex, but Tezos is not in the main one. So it's going to take time, but we thanks for putting the topic back on the table, Caddy, because it was at the base of something we wanted to do. So we have to keep pushing for it. But yeah, it's not going to be made easy on the tax and political system to do that. But I'm so glad that NGOs are catching up, and they saw the potential there, and they're gonna find shortcuts to get the money to do good. So that's a positive thing. On my side, I have to say it was, I'm still super excited about the fan, and we have a great selection of artists coming this Friday, and the next two drops have a couple of really big artists that we are super excited. One of them first time in NFT, so we're still super excited with Joanie. But I have to say, as a curator, I like to make real exhibitions with real people in a real room. So at the beginning of COVID, I really pushed myself to look at all the virtual exhibitions and all the alternatives to everything getting cancelled. And now I'm starting to think, so wait, when things go back to normal, how could I make a proper real exhibition with NFT works? That I want to do it the other way around, actually, and find a way to show that this is real art. There are good real art, because I think the real institutional world is still gonna look at NFT from the wrong angle for a while. Like, even if big sales fair places get into that, I think there is a thing to do into making the art world consider NFT as a proper, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a medium or if it could even become a current on its own because of the new format that it brings. But I would love to think about that, how to make a real NFT exhibition. And because we've also seen the limitations of highly detailed artworks, and there's just so much you can see on the screen. And for me, the bridge is the physical works. And one of the artists who's on the next drop is the Diane Dubray, who's been seen quite a bit on nunc, and we're really excited that she's going to put some physical prints as part of one of her objects. And I, at first, she wanted to sell the file for you to print, but then I was like, yeah, but how do you control the quality of the print and the paper? And then she was like, oh my God, you're right. Like, I want this type of paper and this type of printer, and I want my photographs to look the way I want them to look as an artist. So yeah, I'm excited about the bridges more than the virtual world. But that's so many new routes to explore.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting what you just said, Juliette, about like bridging physical to virtual. Actually, especially now that, you know, everything is kind of slowly going back to normal, like people more and more are wanting to go back as well, like to just have, you know, both options, and to have a way to basically also see all of this beautiful artwork like in real life, and experiment it from like a physical perspective, because there is that like feeling of, you know, installations and everything that you just, you know, you want to experience it like as a human being, like, you know, walking around. And so I'm interested to see what you have planned
If we
for
don't
that.
anticipate that, then it would be such a shame that all of this was just a mini bubble during COVID and people being stuck at home. It would be really a shame because, I mean, that was not the center of the discussion, but we kind of touched a little bit the fact that finally, like, digital people making digital thing finally getting paid, and I mean all of this has to stay, all of this has to become part of the discussion, all of this has to also get into the real world and not just be on these like ephemeral things that happen sometimes.
Ander is saying, would be interesting to allow renting NFTs to exhibition houses for the duration of an exhibition.
Yeah, that would be I think there's a need to invent the models that would go with that, and maybe renting it. I've never been a big fan of what happened with VR, with this catalog, and then you ended up with these VR exhibitions of people sitting in chairs aligned, like this dystopian view of the future, and having you know, pre-made pieces just on the catalog, like presented in a really bad way. So I still believe that it's not because it's digital that you should not curate properly the way you present each piece. Each piece has to be considered as an individual work of art that has to be shown in one way and maybe not the same as the piece next to it. But yeah, definitely that would be a fun thing to explore.
Super. Well, thank you so much, Juliette, for organizing this, and Kelly, Katie, and Zay for taking the time to talk about your work. I'm very excited to see, you know, what's next and for the future drops of the Fen. And welcome anytime to chat, as Juliette said. Like, I'm always happy to chat.
Yes, until next time. Thanks so much for having us, Nicole. It was
of course
to chat with you. Did you have anything else you wanted to say, Kelly, Kadi, Zai?
Just maybe thank you, Nicole, for inviting us. Thanks for having us.
Of course, anytime.
Yeah, thanks very much. And just a shout out to the community, which is amazing on Hickok Nunc. I have never experienced this kind of support, and it's a really special place. I just want to say that.
Absolutely. Agreed. 100%.
So next drop,
and you have some comments. Thanks. Looking forward to the drop. Actually, a lot of comments. But Andre and Raf are both, you know, saying hello. And
yeah. So Sable Raf is also in the next drop. So this Friday, 8 p.m. So, and we'll keep announcing the artists on Twitter like we've been doing so far. And yeah, super looking forward to the next chat with you, Nicole.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you both. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Ciao.